Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nate here. I have some big, juicy news for you that was recently put out there. Facebook is being sued by dozens of states. I don't know the exact number, but they're being sued by dozens of states and the federal government in two antitrust lawsuits in regards to their just sheer dominance and abuse of power in the digital industry, and that they allegedly engaged in anti-competitive behavior. So this is, you didn't think that 2020 could get any crazier, but here we are. So I'm going to break down all the details of what this could possibly mean for Facebook, but also for the business owner, the entrepreneur, the advertiser on the platform. That's probably going to be some of the main people that this might affect. Consumers on maybe the lower end, but I would say this, if this all goes through, it could be a dicey 2021. So I'm going to break all this down for you. But first, guys, I post a video every single day on scaling businesses, on entrepreneurship, on marketing, and on the latest news happening in the digital industry. So if you like those types of things, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. All right, let's go ahead and let's dive right in. So you had two suits being brought against Facebook. It mainly comes down to anti-competitive behavior. Now, Facebook is one of the largest conglomerates to come out of Silicon Valley, and lots of data, lots of power. So the government definitely has a good uphill battle in terms of proving these allegations that they are putting forth. Now, I want to read a quote really quick from Ian Connor, the director of the FTC's Bureau of Competition. He said this in a statement: Facebook's actions to entrench and maintain its monopoly deny consumers the benefits of competition. Our aim is to roll back Facebook's anti-competitive conduct and restore competition so that innovation and free competition can thrive. Now remember that quote because I'm going to reference it later on in the video. So the lawsuits seem to mainly wrap around the idea of Instagram and WhatsApp. Instagram was purchased by Facebook in 2012 for $1 billion, and WhatsApp was purchased for $19 billion. Now, that to me is just a little bit crazy that Instagram was purchased for only $1 billion. It seemed like there's kind of a steal there, but these two purchases are probably the most instrumental purchases inside of the entire conglomerate itself. I mean, really big deal for the growth of Facebook. Now, there was a little bit of noise about a little over a year ago from the New York Attorney General that they were going to start investigations into Facebook, into whether they were practicing anti-competitive behavior or practices. And she said this in a statement: for nearly a decade, Facebook has used its dominance and monopoly power to crush smaller rivals. She continued on to say, by using its vast troves of data and money, Facebook has squashed or hindered what the company perceived to be potential threats. And so as part of the suit, it does order Facebook on acquisitions happening. I don't know if there's a time put on this, but for acquisitions happening that are over $10 million, Facebook does have to report them to the government. Now, it is important to note in regards to these two acquisitions, WhatsApp and Instagram, that the government did approve both of these acquisitions. They knew about them. They knew that it was happening at the time, but it seems like over the time of significant growth over the years, it seems there might have been maybe somewhat of a mistake there. But the thing to look at, because Facebook's kind of using this as an argument to say, well, they knew that this was happening. They approved these things. Well, why do they have to revisit it? But just because something does get approved doesn't mean that it cannot be revisited later, especially if there's something going on within antitrust law. Now, the suit, and remember I said to remember the Ian quote that I talked about earlier, just the whole idea of the harm to anti-competitiveness, and what that actually means. What the suit actually outlines is that there comes down to two things. I mean, at least from my perspective. The idea number one, that if they were participating in these practices, the suit outlines that there would be in a reduced investment into the tech industry services or into competing services. And on the other side, then, therefore harming the consumer from getting better services. That's kind of what it breaks down to. Now, there also is an allegation that Facebook opened up their platform to third-party developers to kind of snuff them out. And then when they had any perception at all that there was any sort of competitive threat. They cut them straight off from the platform. And so, in regards to the Ian Connor quote, that's mainly what it's breaking down to. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to prove any sort of monetary loss. It can come down to a lot of different things. It can come down to privacy. Yeah, it can come down to software, maybe services used. Now, Facebook obviously is saying, well, people flock to our platform because they love our services and stuff. But it still comes down to the idea of because of the just absolute rapid growth of the platform, were they, because it is possible. I know it seems strange, but in the business world, if there were companies that were either somewhat forced to be sold to Facebook, or if Facebook was essentially snuffing these people out and then, doing things to eradicate them off the platform or off the internet. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen in there. But essentially, these are all still allegations, and so they still have to be proved. Now, I say this is a big deal for business owners, mainly entrepreneurs, e-commerce people on the platform, because there's a huge amount of ad spend that goes to Facebook every year, every month, every week, however which way you want to look at it. It's the primary mode of people's business. A lot of businesses use the Facebook platform as a primary mode of their business. And I don't think that is mainly going to change. But what happens if all of this comes to light and is true? And if they do find things that prove that they broke antitrust law, they were practicing anti-competitiveness, what this could potentially mean is that Facebook may have to divide the conglomerate up, divvy up the assets of possibly Instagram and WhatsApp. Now, I don't know if that necessarily means sale or acquisition, but that just means that they will have to divide the company up, and so they can't remain necessarily as one conglomerate. Now, it looks like that from the outside now because, well, it's Instagram over here, Facebook over here, but just because they're independent brands doesn't mean that they aren't under the same conglomerate. Now, the big deal for me in this, or I think in most entrepreneurs or advertisers, most people that are marketing on Facebook, they most of the time are going to be marketing on Instagram as well, and because the advertising platforms, they are used as one. And so we've already done with so many algorithm changes over the past year. I'm not sure what that would mean if they do have to break up the conglomerate, what that would mean in terms of the ads platform. And I'm not sure what that would mean in terms of the algorithm. If there is a breakup, will they have to separate the platform? Will there have to be two? What services, I know you might not see them, but what services that are connected with WhatsApp and Instagram would have to be removed from Facebook that we possibly use now, we might not see, or just what data is actually gathered from Instagram as well as Facebook that might now have to be made separate. And just the certain features that could be removed from the platform. Now, this isn't the first time that a big tech giant has been sued. I mean, Google has been sued, Microsoft has been sued for similar type, I don't know how similar, but similar type things, antitrust stuff and competition, anti-competition, mainly for Google. I'm not sure what the Microsoft suit was about, but that was I think in the early 1999, 2000s, I think is when that happened. So this isn't the first go around, but at the same time, what I'm interested in is what Facebook has to say about all of these things, because if you think about it, Facebook bought Instagram back in 2012. So they've had nearly a decade to prepare. I mean, I think that every company that grows to their size in some way, shape, or form prepares for something like this to happen. I mean, when you get to that size, things like this can just kind of happen. And so I think Facebook knew they were going to, in some way, shape, or form, grow to the size that they are now. So they've now had a decade to somewhat prepare for this type of allegation. So that's what I'm really interested in is, the hearings themselves. What are they going to say? What have they prepared? But at the same time, I'm concerned for 2021 in terms of the algorithm and the platform itself. I think consumers will be okay for the most part, but I know there's a lot of too many businesses that are depending on the singular platform. What this does for me is somewhat unfortunately, fortunately, it's a bittersweet kind of thing, proves what I've kind of been saying in my past videos, what I've seen from a lot of people in the industry, most notably Justin Brook, is that Facebook is potentially not a very stable platform. This is why in every video beforehand I have preached cross-channel targeting. Stop setting up on one platform. Any client I have ever taken on, I never recommend one platform ever. Always start to branch out into others, gathering data, as much data as you can on each platform, because things like this prove a level of instability and we just don't know what the future holds. Mitigate your risk. It could just save your business. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, if you found some value in it, make sure that you hit that like button down below, subscribe if you haven't yet, and comment down below what you think is going to happen with these allegations. What do you think what's going to happen with Facebook marketing? Do you have a business on Facebook? And comment down below what your concerns are, and I would love to, any questions that you have, I would love to answer anything that I could. Thank you guys so much. Until next time.